Now, the joy of Git is that you can try changing things without worrying that you won't be able to get back to where you started from. This is extremely comforting for programming. In Git, undoing a command is called reverting.
So let's make some edits, commit them, and then revert them. We're going to add some people to the banned list. So let's head back to Atom. Here's our banned list. I'm going to ban Scrogs. There he is, saved. Let's commit the change. Ban Scrogs. Alright, but now I'm regretting it. Maybe I was a little bit too hasty. So I'm going to revert that commit. I go up to the History tab, find the latest change, right-click it, revert this commit. And you see that Git has actually created a new commit which reverts the old commit. This detail is actually visible in the app. If you click the revert, you can see that it says, this reverts commit 9D49 blah blah blah. Both the action of the revert is clear. It tells you what it's doing. Scrogs is removed from the banned list, that's here. But it also tells you by ID which commit is reverted. This is the hexadecimal code of the reverted commit, 9D49 and so on. If you go back to the previous commit, you can see 9D49. This is the beginning of the hexadecimal code that identifies this commit. So let's go back to Atom and see that it works. Here's the banned list, and Scrogs is gone. So now it's your turn. I want you to create a new file, wishlist.txt, with a list of present ideas. Then in GitHub Desktop, commit the change, then revert the change. Pause the video now, have a go, and then come back. This is how I would do it. So I go to Atom, start a new file, and just type some present ideas. Maybe a nice new lawnmower, a Rolex Submariner, and maybe the latest edition of Modern Railways magazine. Just some ideas. Let's go ahead and save that. Save it as wishlist.txt. You can see that it's appeared. In fact, we can even just check in Finder that there it is, wishlist.txt. It's here. Good. So now let's head back to GitHub Desktop. We're going to commit the change. So we go over to the Changes tab, created the wish list, commit the change, and now I want to revert the change. So back to History. Here's created the wish list. I right-click, revert this commit, and it's reverted. And looking back at Finder or Windows Explorer, you can see the wish list has gone. The commit is reverted. But going back to Atom, just note that Atom, in common with some other text editors, still retains a copy of your file in memory if you didn't close the tab. But once you close the tab and you don't save, it's gone for good.
And now some common questions. Firstly, what happens if you don't commit, but you revert?
Well, let's make two changes. The first I'll commit, and the second I won't. Let's see what happens if I try to revert the second uncommitted change. So first, I'll add some more names to the invited list. So let's head back over to Atom. Here's the invite list. I'm going to invite Alison and Pikel. I will save, and I will go to GitHub Desktop and commit. Invited 2 more people. Second, I'll move Chris from the invite list to the confirmed list. Okay. Off goes Chris from the invite list to the confirmed list. I'm also going to add Claire to the invite list. I've saved everything, but I won't commit. Let's see what happens if I try to revert. Here are my changes, but to revert we have to go to history. And of course, there's nothing for us to click in here that's relevant to our latest changes. But if we try to revert the previous commit anyway, just out of desperation, right-click revert, we get an error message. So it's better to commit first. However, it is possible to discard changes you've made before committing. You can discard changes from the changes screen. So here, for example, I'm going to discard the change where I added Claire and removed Chris. Right-click, discard changes. Confirm that we're happy with this. But even though this is possible, it's harder to fix if you decide discarding was a mistake, because behind the scenes your change file ends up in your operating system's recycle bin. So in general, it's better to commit first.
Second question, what about reverting multiple commits?
Well, remember that reverting undoes changes. It doesn't take you back to a previous version. So to get back to a previous version, you have to revert changes one at a time. Otherwise, you'll just get a mess of merge conflicts, which we'll talk about later. So let's just demonstrate. I'm going to commit this latest change here, which is adding Chris to the confirm list, although admittedly now he's on the invite list as well, so let's just take him off that again. There we go. So I'm going to commit this change. Chris is confirmed. And then I'll revert the last two changes, heading over to history, so that I get back to the point before I added Alison and Pikel to the invite list. So I'm going to start by reverting the latest, revert Chris, and then revert the invite. Let's just check that that works. That looks right to me.
And thirdly, how does this work? Where are all my old files?
The answer is in the hidden .git folder. If inside your file browser you turn on show hidden files, on Mac by the way that's Command Shift and dot, you will see the hidden .git folder. Inside is a bunch of files which contain all the data of all your changes. So that's why it works.
So here we are. We've been able to make changes, commit them, and now revert them. Next, I'm going to show you how we tell Git to ignore some files.